How's it going out there, everybody? Welcome to my first lengthy video that I'm going to be putting on my YouTube channel. I guess you call it my first full-length video, I suppose. I'm not too sure. So far, the only thing I've put on my YouTube channel are small videos, little things here and there, but I've been wanting to do some of these longer videos for a while, but things haven't really gone the way I would have wanted to the past few months. I mean, I created my YouTube channel a few months ago. It's taken me a while to put any kind of content on it. I got a YouTube, obviously a YouTube, but I got a podcast going on as well. But this is one video that I've been wanting to do for a while. But one of the things that stopped me for a period of time was really just trying to come up with a name for my channel. Something that just not only stood apart from a lot of the other YouTubers that I typically watch on a regular, but something that encompasses me as a movie fan, because I am a big movie fan. I have been my entire life. I mean, I got a few movies, a few hundred, no big deal. And but no, I've been a fan of movies my entire life, and it was difficult trying to come up with a name that just really encompasses me as a movie fan. I tried to come up with a few different names. Even my friend tried to help me out. Nothing was really sticking. I think at one point she suggested like the movie analyst or something. It just it was a good idea, but it didn't work for me. And then finally one day it just kind of hit me, and then I just decided to go with the repeat movie viewer. That's what I will be known as on this channel going forward, and that encompasses me perfectly because my entire life, whenever I watch a movie and I love the movie, or at least like it, I have this bad tendency, well, I don't know if you call it bad, but it depends on your perception. I have a tendency of watching a movie over and over and over and over, and I just never get tired of watching it. And it's been that way my entire life. And as far as this video is concerned, I don't think there's too many franchises that truly encompass the idea of me being a repeat movie viewer as much as the Star Wars franchise. I have quite literally been a fan of this franchise since I was a kid, damn near the cradle. I mean, I was born, I think it was the day after Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980, and then I was only 3 years old when Return of the Jedi came out. And I still, to this day, I still have vivid memories of watching that movie in the theater. You know, there's only a few different things I remember. I remember sitting in the auditorium before the movie, eating a bag of Skittles, and I'm looking up at my mom. She's got this really warm smile on her face. I remember the Sarlacc pit scene and falling in love with the green-bladed lightsaber for the first time. I remember what happened at the end with Darth Vader, and oddly enough, I still remember the ride home afterwards. And quite frankly, when it comes to this franchise, or at least the original trilogy, I have watched these movies so many times over the years, so much so that I could quote pretty much the entire original trilogy if I wanted to. I'm not going to subject you, but I can actually do it if I wanted to. So I thought it would be fun as my first full-length video, and not to mention the fact that it's May. We're only, 10 days after May the 4th, which was cool because I got to take my son to go watch episode 3 because it came out in theaters for a week. It was cool to actually see it on the big screen again because it's, granted, I was working at the movie theater when the prequel trilogy came out, so it's not as if I didn't get to watch those movies quite a bit, from start to finish and bits and pieces over and over, going back to that again, the whole time they were at the actual theater. So, but it's always good to go back and watch a classic on the big screen. So, but going back to what I was saying before, I have a tendency of babbling. I'll give you a fair warning on that. I thought it'd be cool to kind of show off my physical media of my Star Wars collection because it's gotten pretty big over the years, at least fairly big by my standards anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show off my VHSs, and then I'll work up to DVDs, and then eventually Blu-ray. So I'll just show off everything one at a time and try not to babble too much. But I know I have at least a couple of stories here and there I wouldn't mind sharing. But starting off with the bottom, or the beginning, I should say, of the VHS timeline here, you've got a copy of episode 4 and then episode 5. You know, I used to have a copy of Jedi from this specific set. Somewhere along the way after 2003, where we lost our childhood home and we lost a lot of things in the move, somewhere along the way, I have somehow misplaced my copy of Jedi. Maybe it's lying around somewhere in my other boxes with all my other VHSs that I just don't have the heart to part with them. You know, maybe I'll stumble upon it one day. But for now, this is these used to belong to my mom originally. And what's cool is that these were actually bought out. Does anybody remember Box Office Video? I remember we rented from them a lot when I was younger. Before we started going to either Hollywood or Blockbuster on a regular, there was always a Box Office Video. Unfortunately, they went out of business, so Mom thought she'd go ahead and buy the movies. So, you know, they're still in good condition. I mean, they've been in the same condition for years, although the boxes are pretty bad, but, you know, these are still in good condition for what they are. So, take it for what it is. And what's really interesting about these, as you can plainly see, my mom had this tendency of always putting these little labels on all of her movies, whether it was pre-recorded or, you know, regular tapes, recording stuff off the TV and whatnot. She always put her name, our address, and then our phone number at the time. So that was always a nice touch. So I actually missed that. So that does it for those. Another one that I liked is actually not a movie, but it's a documentary. From Star Wars to Jedi. I only found this, I want to say, somewhere in the last 10 years, maybe 15, give or take. But I remember Mom had actually recorded a copy of this, and I remember I watched it a lot. I really enjoyed it because not only did it kind of go into detail, it was like an hour-long documentary, and it did go from go through the trilogy, but for the most part, I feel like they focused more on some of the creature stuff and whatnot from Jedi versus anything else, but they do touch on Empire and A New Hope a little bit. So, but I also like it because it was narrated by Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill does a lot of Star Wars documentary narrations over the years, or at least he's done a few. So he's got a good voice for it. I know he voices something else, but I can't think of what it is right now. It'll come to me later, I'm sure. Now that I've got those out of the way, what I really wanted to talk about here is I would call this the crown jewel of my collection. This was the first thing I ever, not just Star Wars, but just movies in general. This box set was the first thing I ever bought for myself with my own money. And that was the Star Wars Trilogy box set. I want to say I bought this for roughly about $50 in 1995. Interesting to note, this is pre-special edition, which makes it that much more special because after the special editions came out in 97, at that point, every time you bought a new box set of the movies, regardless of what platform it was on, it was always the special editions. It's almost like George Lucas wanted to forget the original movies actually existed for whatever reason. But what's cool about this is I still have the little coupon book that came with it, with little coupons inside that I never used. It is what it is. And then you've got the boxes themselves, which I still enjoy to this day. I like the way they look, and they all encompass each movie to a degree. The only complaint I would ever have about this is the logo for Return of the Jedi. I always loved the original red lettering, almost rectangular logo for Return of the Jedi. It never sat well with me that they changed it. This one is a little bit different from the original. I don't mind this one so much, but definitely this one, I take it or leave it. You know, it is what it is. But I'm very proud of this box set, and I have done my damnedest to take care of it over the years. It does have a little bit of wear and tear on it. Like, you can, if you really look hard enough, you can see that the coloring on the letters is a little bit faded over the years. But I mean, shit, I've had this one for, I said 1995, so and we're 2025. That's 30 years I've had this sucker, and I'm amazed it's still in as good condition as it is. So I'll take that for what it is. And you know what? As I decided to throw this in as a bonus, just for the hell of it. And it is the Star Wars Trilogy soundtrack box that I bought years ago. And I mean, I do love the soundtrack for these movies immensely. But I like the idea of buying this one because not only did it come with this really nice booklet, just talking in detail about the different tracks, and I think it's been a while since I've read it. Yeah, it goes into detail about all the different tracks, which is cool. And then there's 4 discs in here. Each movie gets its own soundtrack, and then there's a bonus disc that has a bunch of different music that wasn't on each individual soundtrack, so to speak, and even a couple of tracks that was like, you kind of question why wasn't on there to begin with, but okay, I'm just happy that it was included on here. To give an example, actually, you know what? Here's the Return of the Jedi one. You can't really see it. I mean, it's hard to see that the lettering on all these discs. This is the one for Jedi, but it's hard to see. I don't know why they made it so difficult to see, but that's just the way they are. But what's cool is that on that bonus disc that I mentioned earlier. Sorry for scratching my eye. There's a couple of tracks on there that really kind of interest me the most. One of them is Lapty Neck, which fans of the original film will remember. That was the original song that Sai Snoodles is actually singing in the courtroom in Jabba's palace right before Oola gets dropped into the Sarlacc. Oh my God, Sarlacc pit. Rancor pit. Sorry. That was the original song before they threw in Jedi Rocks for the special edition. It's funny. I liked Jedi Rocks when it first came out. I even bought the single for it on CD. Yeah, I bought that. And unfortunately, that song doesn't hold up like it used to. I prefer Lapty Neck. That's just my opinion. The other song on that disc that I always enjoyed was the second Cantina Band song. And it makes me wonder how many people remember there were 2 songs during that whole entire scene at the cantina, not just the one. And I always love how they make fun of the original song from the cantina on the Family Guy Star Wars cartoon, where the Cantina Band is standing there and they just go, we're the Cantina Band. If you have any requests, shout them out. Play that same song. Okay, same song. Here we go. And yeah, my son loves that joke too. Yeah, I got my son into Star Wars too. He's totally on board with it. Haven't shown him everything that there is to watch with the IP, but you know what? We're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. Now, let me get into the box sets of the trilogy, of the original trilogy, I should say. Now, right after the special edition came out, special edition trilogy came out in theaters, when they brought those movies home, there were 2 different box sets. There was the silver, and then there was a gold one. Unfortunately, I only have the silver. One of these days, I might get the gold one just for nostalgic value and just for, not so much nostalgia, but just from a collector's standpoint, just because I like the way the gold one looked. The only reason I bought this one is because it's the widescreen version, and I prefer widescreen, always prefer widescreen. It's actually funny, and I'm sorry to throw another story on this, but as a kid, I never understood the difference. I didn't even know the difference between widescreen and like full screen, pan and scan, whatever they used to call it. I never really noticed it. We did go to movies from time to time, growing up, but we watched a lot more movies at home, and I just never put 2 and 2 together. And again, I saw Jedi in theaters when I was 3 years old, so I didn't remember. And so all the years growing up, I always watched Star Wars on this, square box or whatever. And I remember one time on the Sci-Fi Channel, somewhere in the early 90s, they were advertising that they were going to show the Star Wars trilogy, and they were going to show it in letterbox. I remember they emphasized that very much, letterbox edition. And I was like, what the heck is letterbox? What does that mean? And I remember watching A New Hope, and I learned what it meant, and for the first time in my life, I actually saw the entire screen for A New Hope for the first time. I think I just said that twice, I apologize. But it blew my freaking mind, because there were so many things in that opening screen alone that I'd never seen before, because you only see so much. And it was at that moment that I understood there was a difference. So growing up, throughout the years of me buying VHSs to DVDs, I always made it a point and went out of my way to try to find widescreen, because not every VHS was available in widescreen when I was collecting movies back then. DVDs, for the most part, always had at least one or the other, or both. So, but from that point on, I never looked back. Widescreen is my preferred. I forget full screen. No, thank you. Anyway, I think I'm done babbling about that. But the special edition boxes are pretty sweet. Pretty nice looking, I think. There's the Jedi one. There's Empire. And I really do like the cover art for these. They're pretty nice. Again, I might just buy the gold box set down the road. I know I can find it. It's just a matter of finding it in good condition. That's the only kicker. There are some people in this world that don't take care of their stuff as well as others. I try to take care of my stuff as much as I can. But, you know, not everything goes as well as you think. Okay, so my box decided to fart at me. Thank you very much, box. I appreciate it. It's very adult of you. Seriously, that thing does that to me every time I close it. I don't know why. Anyway, moving along. The other VHS box set that I have, I forget how long it's been since I bought this one. This little sleeve comes off, which, you know, it's got a little transparent thing going on, and then you can see the actual art on all three sides. No big deal. Nothing on the top or bottom outside of a barcode. And then you got the covers, which are actually different from the other ones as well. Although this one's pretty similar to the special edition one, I think. Matter of fact, I think this one kind of is too. So, but this would be the last VHS original trilogy box set that I ever bought. I don't even think this one was even widescreen, now that I think about it, but I could be wrong. But it's interesting how many times I've actually bought these movies over the years. It's amazing to me, because that tells you right there how much I'm into this freaking franchise, that I keep buying the same fucking movies over and over throughout the years. It's insane. So that takes care of the original trilogy on VHS. But in, I want to say it was like late 99, if I remember correctly, is when episode 1 hit home video. Sorry, I couldn't think straight on that one. And originally, I opted to buy this beautiful thing, this little collector's item here, this little box set, if you want to call it that, of the original movie. I always liked the way it looked, and unfortunately, it's surprising to me. This one has more wear and tear than the original Black Box trilogy set that I just showed a minute ago. But, you know, it is what it is. But for this one, it's nice because it's got this Art of Star Wars book in it. It's got some nice artwork in it, which is pretty sweet. And I have a few other random goodies that are tucked away in here that came with this as well. But the book's pretty sweet. And this one specifically I wanted because, there you are. There's that widescreen again. So, oh, and the other thing I think is cool is on the inside, when you open it up, it's got that one scene that you see from Theed in the opening of the movie. So, pretty cool. And then there's the front of it again. So I did enjoy buying this one on widescreen. So, now a couple of goodies that actually came with me getting this. You've got this right here, which has actually got a piece of film strip from the movie. We got Padme and Anakin meeting for the first time. I gotta admit, this is special to me in a lot of ways because not at the time that I bought this, but as time went on, because I worked at the movie theater for the better part of 11 years of my life. And after a while, I started working in the projection booth and actually worked with this film for years before I eventually left the theater. And around the time that I left is when things started becoming digital. I want to say we got a few digital projectors in right before I left the theater. So this is having this little bit of film strip is special to me. And then there's this interesting story about this. When the movie originally came out, episode 1 for home release, as I recall, I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, all the different stores were offering up some kind of a prize of some sort if you bought it from them versus any other competitor. And I forget who offered this one, but I had already bought me a copy of this box set right here somewhere else. And I think I'd already bought another copy of well, I'll get to that in a minute. But bottom line is, I forget which store was offering this. If you bought it from them, I didn't want to buy the box set twice because it was pricey at the time. And I won't really tell you how I acquired this, but let's just say I acquired it as part of my collection. But it's cool. It's a little 3D, what do they call them? Little lithographs or whatever. I always thought it was really cool. So nice little addition, I think. So we'll just put that back in there. All right. Now, that, like I said, that box set was really cool, but because I am a big collector at heart, it didn't feel right not to buy the regular VHS copy of this, which, if I remember correctly, this is the full screen version. Goes against what I was saying before, but again, as a collector, I just wanted to have as many, both versions if I could. And plus, as I recall, this one wasn't too expensive compared to this one, so it was a little bit more worth it in the long run. The last Star Wars VHS that I have is when this came out, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. This, if I remember correctly, this was the last Star Wars movie that was actually released as home video for the first time in VHS. I do not believe that Episode 3 was ever released in VHS, because I'd like to think if it was, I would have actually bought it at some point. But that does it for the VHSs. So take a little pause and bring in the DVDs. Alright, so moving along, we're now moving into the DVD territory. And I don't have just the movies, I have some other stuff as well. How many people remember this? The Ewok adventure movies. There were two of them. Highlighting this little girl named Sindel or something like that. Kendall, I forget her name. It's been so long. Mom recorded these on VHS, and we watched them a lot growing up. And I gotta be honest, I haven't watched these movies in the better part of like 20 years. This was actually given to me as a gift, and I can be honest, I haven't watched these movies in so long. I haven't watched this disc before since it was given to me as a gift, but it's on my to-do list. But if I remember correctly, these are actually on Disney Plus now. So they're interesting to watch just for the sake of watching it. A couple more discs that were actually gifts at some point. You've got Star Wars Ewoks and Droids. A bunch of cartoons that came out in the early 80s, I believe it was. And once again, I haven't bothered to sit and watch these yet. I feel like I do vaguely remember them when I was a kid, but it has been so long I couldn't tell you anything about them anymore. But I do look forward to sitting down and watching them one day. And then we have the original Clone Wars cartoons, the Cartoon Network Clone Wars cartoons that came out before Episode 3 came out. I want to say the first set came out about a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years before Episode 3. And then this one actually came out leading up to the release of Episode 3. These are a lot of fun. They focus mostly on Anakin and Obi-Wan and their relationship together, which it really expands on that a little bit. Because at the time we didn't have much to go on, but then of course now we have the other Clone Wars cartoons that are on Disney Plus right now. They go much, much more into detail about the Clone Wars. But when these originally came out, this is all we had, and these were a pretty good addition. As a matter of fact, this one was pretty cool because when this cartoon ends, it actually ends right where Episode 3 begins. So if you're doing like a trilogy marathon of the prequels, you couldn't go wrong to add this to the point in between Episodes 2 and 3 as a companion piece for that trilogy. Oh, and it also explains how General Grievous got that ugly cough that he has in Episode 3, because he doesn't always have it beforehand. This one, I gotta be honest, I don't remember where I got this. Part of me thinks that maybe I got it at a pawn shop at some point, but then I also feel like I bought it with one of these box sets that I have. It kind of came along with it, like a freebie or something like that, but it's been so long I don't freaking remember. I don't even remember what's on it. I think it just talks about some of the movies and scenes and whatnot, but it's been so long I couldn't even comment on what's on it anymore. So one day I'll plop it in and give it another watch. Okay, so Robot Chicken Star Wars. This is hilarious. It's basically just a bunch of different scenes that Robot Chicken had done over the course of time on Star Wars, including one of my personal favorites is it's Emperor Palpatine in his throne room talking to a couple of people from the Senate, and then Darth Vader calls him after after the Death Star gets blown up. Pardon me. And I love that scene, especially since Seth MacFarlane, he actually does the voice of the Emperor, and it's so freaking funny. I don't think this is the uncensored version. I want to say this is the censored version, unfortunately. If you can find it uncensored, like on YouTube, I highly recommend it, because all that beeping it's distracting as all hell, and it's not as funny. And then speaking of Seth MacFarlane, you've got the Family Guy Star Wars cartoons. Now, this one is really cool for Blue Harvest, the episode 4's version, because it comes in this really nice looking box set, which I'll go ahead and open this up here for you real quick, show you all the wonderful goodies that come inside, because it comes with a few goodies, a few good things. First off, it comes with a pair of the old style 3D glasses. I want to say on the disc there was like a sequence or something like that you can watch, you know, like an old 3D movie, but I don't, you know, that style of 3D is pretty outdated. It doesn't work so well these days, especially on a small TV, but it is what it is. You've also got some of these collector's cards. They're very reminiscent of the old collector's cards from the 70s and whatnot, which I actually do have a few, and I've never bothered to take it out of the plastic. Maybe one day, but probably not. You've got the disc itself, or the box itself, I should say. It does have the actual cartoon with the features, and then it's got the digital copy, which is always cool. I never ever downloaded the digital copies that were on discs. The only ones I've ever taken advantage of over the years are the actual codes for Voodoo, or now they call it Fandango at home, but either or, that's what I usually do. And this one also comes with an Art of Star Wars book, just like the episode 1 booklet. Very similar. And it's got some good stuff in there too. And then we have Family Guy Blue Harvest t-shirt. Unfortunately, I couldn't fit into this now if I wanted to. It wouldn't look right. But, I mean, will I ever open this? Probably not. From a collector standpoint, I might just leave it in there. If I ever lose enough weight where I actually could wear it, maybe I would open it just so I could say I could wear it and maybe take a picture with it just to prove that I got to that point. But for right now, we'll just leave it in the plastic. I can't seem to get this sucker back in here. Oh, I see why. The damn book's in the way. Oops. All right, I'll put that there. And then I actually do have the entire Family Guy trilogy. You've got something, Dark Side. I do very much like this box right here because it has almost like a shiny, glossy kind of look to it. I love the way it looks. It looks really cool. This one, I don't believe it actually came with a digital copy, but it's just got the one disc. So, but I do like the look of it with the battle between Vader and Luke, or Chris and Stewie, if you prefer. I think picking Stewie as Vader was one of the best decisions they ever made. Seriously. And then we've got Return of the Jedi's version, which it's a trap. Again, it's you probably can't tell. Well, maybe you can. It also has that glossy, kind of look to it, which is really cool. This one, yeah, it's got the actual cartoon and the digital copy on the disc as well. So, personally, I think Blue Harvest will always be my favorite of the Family Guy trilogy cartoon, but I do like all of them for what they are. So, and I find it funny how they called the first one Blue Harvest. For anyone that doesn't know, here's a little piece of trivia. When they were filming Return of the Jedi way back when, that was the code name for that movie so that nobody would know what they were actually filming. So I thought that was a nice touch. Oh, wait, I forgot to put that back in there. Ooh, hold on a second. Pardon me. There, get that back in there. Okay, now, I'm going to go ahead and show off the other box sets for DVD before I get into the individual DVDs. You know what? I'll show this one first. This is a version of the Star Wars trilogy that I came across at some point. It wasn't that expensive. And as you can plainly see, I've never gotten around to opening it. I gotta be honest, I don't know if I want to open it. Maybe one day I will, just for curiosity's sake, because on the back it makes it look like they don't have any cover art on the discs, but I'm very curious if they do or not. And plus, I don't know. One day I might just want to open it for the sake of opening it. I don't know. Time will tell on that one. And then we've got the Star Wars trilogy box set for DVD. Once again, just like the VHS one, there was silver for widescreen, and then there was a gold one for full screen. Again, just like the VHS ones, might try to find a copy of the gold version as well, just so I can have it, just for the hell of it. And let's see, we've got 4 discs here. You've got one, I'll put that aside, one for each movie, which I do like the little cover art. Not too bad. I think Empire is my favorite one out of all 3 of them. But you also have an extra disc for bonus material. Anybody who knows me when it comes to my love for movies, I am a complete freak. I go gaga and apeshit when it comes to bonus features. I have actually neglected on buying a movie on DVD or even Blu-ray if it doesn't have features on it. Because my opinion on that is anything that comes out from, I would say, the 80s up until now, I'm sure you've got some kind of archival footage lying around. You know, even as far back as the 80s, I'm sure you've got something lying around that you can throw on there. And movies nowadays, they actually film footage while they're filming movies to put on the actual Blu-ray. So I don't feel like there's any excuse. But anything that comes out before the 80s, I kind of take it for what it is, the fact that there probably won't be any bonus features. And if there are, if they're very minor, again, I just accept it for what it is. Because it's like, well, at least I got something. You know, like maybe a documentary of historians. Because obviously, if you buy a movie from like the 1930s or 40s, there's a very limited chance you're going to have a commentary track from somebody who actually worked on that movie, because they're probably not around anymore. But, you know, I digress. Okay, so moving along, the individual DVD cases for the movies, starting with episode 1, which one thing I really enjoyed about the movies, the prequel trilogy when they came out, is that they were 2 discs. They all were, so that you have the actual movie, which I thought was cool. It was Darth Maul's face design, and then you had a second disc that shows the Duel of the Fates. And of course, the second disc on each one of them always had some pretty nice bonus features to speak of, for me anyway. Let's see, episode 2. One thing I always liked about this disc is that the first one had Jango Fett, and then you had the clone troopers behind him. I thought that was a nice touch. But one thing I couldn't get about the second disc, you've got the Jedi in the background, which that is a cool touch. But then you've got Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Why isn't Anakin on here? And for that matter, wouldn't it make more sense if you had Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme, because they are the main 3 heroes of the movie? I thought that would have made more sense, but that's just my opinion. And then you have episode 3, which I always thought was funny. I actually got a mini poster of this little art, this little design right here, with Darth Vader, and the tagline on it said, "Who's your daddy?" I always thought that was funny. And then the second disc is Yoda. So that's pretty sweet. Now, moving on to the original trilogy. Yeah, we bought these again. Let's see. Okay, so now these are actually very special to me. I had mentioned before that once the special edition movies came out during the VHS days, that every time you bought these movies, they were always going to be I'm sorry, my voice keeps cracking. I forgot to bring water in here. What do you call it? You always end up buying the special edition copies, not the originals anymore. But this collection right here is special to me personally, because you got episode 4, episode 5, and 6. which I thought this one was about as close to the original cover art as you could get. But what makes these special is that not only did they have the special edition version, which, oh, I'm showing Jedi first. I meant to go in the other order. Yeah, it is what it is. I love how it uses the original cover art for the movie for the first disc, but then the second disc is the original 1983, and of course 80 and then 77 respectively for which one you're pulling out. Original, unaltered, non-special edition version of each film. That's freaking awesome. What's funny is that when special edition game came out, I hadn't actually sat and watched the original versions since special edition came out. Not that I didn't want to, I just never got back around to it. I just kind of got used to it. I got complacent, I guess. But it was nice to go back and finally watch those movies because I still remember all the differences between the originals and the special editions. Because I'll never forget watching special edition for all three of them and just noticing every single difference. Everything that popped out that was different, even if it was just a small visual effect, I knew right away, like, oh, that's new, that's totally new. That is so cool. So it was nice to go back and watch the original versions after over a decade. Well over a decade, I think. And then here's the Empire one, and then the second disc over here. And I'll just show off all the discs just for the sake of doing it. I do like this original poster right here. I don't know where this picture comes from, but you can get a little look at it there. So yeah, these were really a really cool addition to my collection. The fact that I finally had a copy of the original versions of the movie on DVD. That was cool. And here's a funny thing. I actually bought this one day just for the sake of doing it, but the only reason why I bought it is because even though this is the same cover art that's in this particular box set for Return of the Jedi, but for whatever reason, they had this design, but it had the second disc for the original version of the movie. I never figured out why they did it this way. And I never actually found a copy of these particular cover arts for the other two that go with this collection right here. I want to say they were released at some point. I just never found them. So, it is what it is. And then we got this. Episode 4 Revisited Special Edition. My friend Steven actually sent this to me because he really wanted me to check it out. Basically, in a nutshell, somebody took the original Episode 4 film and just kind of went through the film and did a bunch of touch-ups, like visual effects shots and whatnot, and just kind of cleaned it up a little bit, made it look a little bit nicer. But then he added a few things to it. He put in a little scene, it's brief, but a little scene of people on Alderaan and their reaction right before the super laser from the Death Star hits the planet and blows it up, which I thought was a nice touch. That's something I always felt like should have been in the original film, just to kind of see a little bit of their reaction to what was happening. And then he actually takes the fight sequence between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and he actually re-edits it to make it a little bit more epic. I mean, and now with this and having the prequel films exist with the music and everything else, it coincides with that prequel trilogy so much more than the original scene does. They even use, I want to say it was not Duel of the Fates, but I want to say it was Battle of the Heroes from Episode 3. They actually use a part of that song, and even some random dialogue gets thrown in the background to make it more epic, and I think it works pretty well. So and I think he was supposed to do, the guy who did this, I want to say he was going to do the same thing to Episodes 5 and 6, but I've never seen them released. I've looked for them, I've never found them, so I don't know what happened there. Alright, so that does it with DVD. Now I'm going to move on to Blu-ray, so I'll be right back with the Blu-rays. Okay, so there's 2 box sets I have for the Blu-rays, and then a bunch of singles and whatnot. So there were actually 2 versions of the complete saga that were put out years ago. The first one has that, what is it? It's that cover art of Anakin Skywalker where his shadow on the wall is a silhouette of Darth Vader. I always thought about maybe getting that one, but I found this one and it was actually pretty cheap at the time, so I went ahead and nailed it. But what's cool about this, I mean, yeah, of course, you've got all the different discs for the movies, but it had count them, 3 bonus discs. Hours upon hours of goodness, man, let me tell you. I had so much fun going through all the features for this. Now, earlier I talked about the non-special edition versions of the movies and how cool it was to have them on DVD. Then, a few years ago, I found out that they put this on Blu-ray. The de-specialized versions of the original Star Wars trilogy. And it wasn't that expensive either. I think I paid $10 for this. And it's freaking awesome. One thing, I do like the disc art for all 3 of them. How each one of them uses the original, for the most part, original logo art for the film. Because I remember with Star Wars, it had this little look to it before it made it more like this. So you can see how it looks there and how it looks here. This is the original logo, and I do like the way it looked. Then you have the original one for Empire, and then this is not the one my favorite version of the Jedi logo, but this one works for me too. But there's another version that I really liked, which I don't have access to right now. But it was so cool to get this too. So now I have the original trilogy on DVD, or I mean Blu-ray. So that's awesome. I don't think I'll buy them again at this point going forward. I think we're good. At some point, they started releasing the trilogy on Steelbook. It's like, man, you guys just had to find another way to make me buy these movies again, didn't you? So, and of course, I'm such a Star Wars whore anyway, so I couldn't help myself. So I'll just gloss over this real quick. You got the Phantom Menace with Darth Maul on the cover. Still in the plastic, unfortunately. The plastic is kind of coming off a little bit, but, you know, it is what it is. Then you've got Revenge of the Sith with General Grievous on the front. This one also has the plastic on it. We got A New Hope with Darth Vader. This one, the plastic's a little bit nicer, a little bit less speed up on this one. And then we have Return of the Jedi. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have the plastic. Let me move this out of the way. This one does not have the plastic, unfortunately. I had to take it off. It was so far gone, there was just no point in keeping it on there. But I do like the way the back of it is, where it's the original poster art, which I love. I love that original poster so much. And no, it doesn't have to do with the fact that it's got Princess Leia in a bikini. Giggity. Now, we're pretty much done with the original trilogy. There is no more to display at this point. The other steelbook I have is from The Force Awakens, which I do like this one. I want to say my friend Dennis bought this for me. I do like how you got Kylo Ren on the front, and then you've got Captain Phasma on the back, which, man, as cool as that character looks, that was such a wasted character. Not to mention a waste of talent for the actress as well. She deserved better in the Star Wars franchise, seriously. And it's got this was at a point when they started releasing DVD copies to go along with the Blu-ray, and then of course the special features disc. So, and here's the thing about The Force Awakens. They released it. I want to say it was 4 different styles when it came out, and I only got 3. This one I actually bought off a friend of mine who just wanted to get rid of it for whatever reason. I only paid a few bucks for it, and I thought it was pretty sweet actually, because you got your heroes and you got your villains on over here, and then I thought it was pretty cool how it opened up, and then you've got some of the main heroes from this particular film. So I thought this was pretty cool. It was a cool thing to have. So, and the other box set for this one, I want to say I bought this one at Best Buy. Don't quote me on that, but I liked it because the stars, if you hold the light on it just right, it looks really sparkly, and I always thought that was really cool. And the box itself almost looks like the way 4K boxes look with that, you know, black color bordering on it. But again, it's got the digital code, and it's got 3 3 discs on it. You got the DVD and then 2 Blu-rays, one for the movie, one for the features. No big deal. You start to see a trend with that after a while. And we're down to the nitty-gritty. Now, I will just go on record at this point to mention that I have never bought, The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker on any media outside of Digital Codes. Me and my brother actually share a Vudu account. So we actually went in together to buy the entire Skywalker saga, all 9 films on there. That is the only time I have ever paid money to actually own The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker. Never bought an actual physical media for either or. Will I do it at some point? Probably not. But, I might change my mind. You never know. But the last 2 that I have are the movies that are not part of the actual trilogies. You've got Rogue One, which I can test is not a bad movie. It's okay for what it is. I feel like the best part of the movie, its merit is really in the last 40 minutes or so. That's the best part of it. The rest of the movie is okay, and of course, I'm sure it's pretty well documented by now. This movie was going to be a lot different, and it went through a lot of reshoots, so the version we got is, from what I understand, pretty different than what we were going to get originally. And can somebody at Disney, now that they own this franchise, can somebody please release all that extra footage that didn't get used for this movie when it came out? All the original filming they did? I would love to see some of that footage, because the trailer painted a very different picture than what we got. Just saying. And the last but not least, Solo. Once again, I wouldn't say this was a great movie, but I thought it was good. It was fun for what it was. I did enjoy the guy who actually played Solo. I like the guy who played Lando Calrissian. I thought he did a good job. And I liked Emilia Clarke in the movie. I thought she was a nice little addition. Woody Harrelson, I'll watch anything with him in it. This movie, again, it's not a masterpiece, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I do enjoy it for what it is. And this one actually does have 2 discs. One for the movie and then the other one for bonus stuff. Unfortunately, this one didn't do well in theaters, because I think this was right after The Last Jedi came out, and it left such a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths that people just kind of passed on this one. And it's unfortunate, because it is worth checking out. So, but that will do it. That is the last of my Star Wars physical media, my movie physical media. That's not even counting all the action figure stuff I've bought over the years, or the video games and whatnot. So I don't want to go into all that, because we'll be here forever, and yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that, do we? No. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the video. That's everything at this point. I do plan on doing a few other videos very soon, where I show off all the different movies that I collected way back during, there was an October sale, there was Black Friday, and then the stuff I got for Christmas. I ended up getting like 60 movies, and I wanted to do like an unboxing, but it's been so long since. It won't be an unboxing, it'll just me showing off all the movies. For anyone who watches my channel going forward, maybe they get an interest in watching that. And for me, it would be nice to have a video documentation of pretty much all the movies I get going forward. It would be cool to have, to look back on, so to speak. So I'll be doing that sometime in the near future. On top of it, a couple of new podcasts. I have a few new ideas. So, if you sat through this whole video, I want to thank you so much for doing so. I know I've been babbling for a long time, so hopefully you didn't fall asleep while you were watching it. But again, if you got through the video, I appreciate it. Feel free to leave a like. Feel free to leave a comment. Anything you want to say about my collection. Maybe you have a better collection than I do. It is possible. I would love to hear about it. And yeah, look forward to more content down the road. So thank you very much. Please take care of yourselves, be safe, but don't forget to have fun. Just not too much fun.